Can you guys hear me now? Great. Sorry about that. I was in mute. Let me start again. I just wanted to say welcome everybody to day number 2. This is the last session of the North Carolina DevFest 2022. This is day number 2. I am Roman. I am a Flutter GDE. I am also a lead organizer at GDG Lawrence. And also, can you guys hear me now? Great. Sorry about that. I was in mute. Let me start again. Perfect. Just a little bit of feedback. Sorry about that. Okay, let's proceed. So again, this talk is about Flutter in the Google Cloud. How these two technologies combined can create great experiences for users, and I'm pretty pleased to share those experiences with you. Me, not only as a Flutter GDE, but also as a Google Cloud certified architect, I'm going to show you how I build an application for the GDG Lawrence backed by the Google Cloud using Flutter, and then how you can build your own applications as well following the similar approach. Great. So let me talk to you a little bit about GDG Lawrence. So GDG Lawrence, we are a community. We're based here in Lawrence, Massachusetts. We're very proud of our diversity, our community. We're very community centric. We try to support the local developers around the area, and we like to bring people together. So we wanted to create this group, this chapter, to again bring the latest and the latest and greatest from technologies from Google, and just expose it to the public in general, and bring everybody into the fold, into this new tech wave and great technologies that Google is putting out there. And I made this into a case study so that people know, kind of like can relate to how the things that we found that there were problems within the community and how we can solve them using Google Cloud and Flutter. And I made it into a case study. That's why I'm going to show it to you like this. So this is the case study, how I developed the GDG Lawrence Flutter application backed by the Google Cloud, which is a publicly available application only for Android right now, but soon it will be available for iOS. Very easy. It's just some approval issues on the iOS side of things, but other than that, should be good to go. Perfect. So I just wanted to mention, I'm going to mention some of the things that we were tackling and how we were able to solve them. So one of the things were our members needed alternative and convenient ways to find us, not just like by going to gdg.community.dev to find like our community in there or in other places. We wanted a convenient way for them to find us. Like why if we were right there on their phones, so that they can access our information and they can reach out to us right away. So we wanted to solve that issue. Also, information about upcoming events. You know that we create us as leads or lead organizers in the community. We like to create events geared to the community. Sorry about that. Geared to the community, and we wanted to make them sure. We wanted to make sure that they were that they stayed abreast of what are those events that are part of their interest and something that brings a lot of value to them. So we wanted to bring them into the fold and provide a solution for them to know about the upcoming events in the community so that they were part of those sessions. Also, we wanted them to know about us. Like they wanted to put a face to a name. So we wanted to expose ourselves, like our information, so that they knew what was the team behind the GDG Lawrence and how they can reach out to us. Also, we wanted to deliver valuable resources to our community. We wanted to find better channels on how we can provide our information, to be the conduits of information, of great resources that Google is putting out there, like Google Cloud Code Labs, Cloud Study Jams, Android Study Jams, events like this, like DevFest. We wanted to provide those valuable resources to the community, and we wanted to find a centralized location where they can find those. And we wanted to find a way to mitigate that issue. Also, a way to contact us anywhere. So instead of us waiting for the users to come to us, we wanted to be where the users were. So we wanted to find a way for them to also know that we were in the major social media platforms, so that we can talk to our users. They can come to us, but we wanted to meet them halfway, be in their wherever they were, and then kind of like lure them into our community. So we wanted to find a way to solve that issue as well. A way to contact us directly. So not only what if the users maybe don't have social media and they still wanted to reach out to us, but they didn't have a proper email or a proper account, they can actually use their application and and send us a message directly. So we wanted to find ways so that they can also contact us directly without any middleman or anything. So they can just reach out to us, drop us a message. We would be able to reply to them using the same application. So we were trying to solve that issue. Also, a way to keep members updated and engaged, not only the same way that we were putting out there information about events and content and resources, but also how about to stay on top of the latest news from Google on technology in general. We wanted to find ways for them to be notified when those things were available. So we wanted to keep our users updated, but also engaged, but in a very non-intrusive way, so that we can notify them when those things were available. Also, get the inside scoop on their interest. Like I was mentioning earlier, a convenient way for them to consume the latest and the greatest coming from Google. How about, let's say, from a brief recorded message on the contents of the day, or like the latest news from Google, from Flutter, from cloud. We wanted to create sort of like a mini podcast so that they could be on their car or they could be on the go, and they can immediately still, with just spending a little bit of their time, they could be updated and they could stay up to date on what's going on out there, and they could go about their day and go about their lives. So we wanted to find a way to give them the inside scoop on their special interests. And last but not least, make them feel safe as part of the community. So, and part of the community. Like, we wanted to collect their information, but only to use it to their advantage, to let them know about events so that they can be authenticated when they come into the application, to use that information, let's say, when they register for an event. Let's say they come to an in-person event, they can show like a digital badge, only demonstrating that you are a part of this community, and then you can securely provide their credentials so that we can use them for their benefit, not like for any intrusive ways to steal anybody's data or anything like that. We wanted to make them feel safe and part of the community. So one of the great things about the Google Cloud and how it actually brought the community together was actually able to leverage the core competencies of each of our team members. So one of the great things that we definitely were able to leverage with the Google Cloud is, instead of telling the team members who wanted to be contributing members of the team and the community, instead of telling them, no, this is the only thing that we will learn, this is the only language that we accept, we only can do things in JavaScript or this or that. No, we actually say, what are you good at? Is that supported in the Google Cloud? Can you come and contribute? So you can see how multiple people from different backgrounds, different levels of knowledge, different skill sets can still contribute in the Google Cloud, be part of the same, let's say, all pulling towards the same side, and all working towards the same goal. But they can bring their capabilities and their expertise and their skills, and they can immediately contribute to that greater cause, which is, we wanted to create the Flutter application. We wanted to be cloud-centric. We wanted to be cloud-friendly, and we wanted everybody to bring their knowledge and contribute. For example, we have Kevin, knowledgeable in C+ and C#. He can create like some cloud functions on that. Me, I know Flutter and Firebase. I can create databases. I can create authentication. Let's say Lionel, he knows JavaScript, and he can build like a Node.js server, a Node.js, like a RESTful API with Express, and he can make it so that he can pull information from the database, pull information from Firebase Cloud Firestore, and roll that out into like a cloud function or something like that. So the great thing about the Google Cloud is that it brings people together regardless of their skill sets and makes them a contributing member of your team. Also, why the Google Cloud? So there are three main aspects of why the Google Cloud. So we wanted to look at cost, speed, and ease. Those are the three things, the three major aspects that made us move to the cloud. So why we're gonna now we're gonna deep dive into each one of these topics: cost, speed, and ease. Why those three? Actually, let me just back up again, because I thought I had another one, but that's fine. So if I mention cost, for example, we were talking about, like, we kind of run kind of like as a nonprofit. So we depend on the funding from the community, the funding that Google provides as part of us as a GDG, as a Google developer group. and also, let's say, for sponsorships from the community, like companies that wanted to support. Speed, because it allows us to not only come to market quickly, because it allows us to, and also the performance speed that it provides by being in the cloud, as opposed to having like physical servers or anything like that. We wanted to make sure that we wanted to leverage the speed of the cloud, but the speed of how you can put products out there by leveraging things like serverless in the Google Cloud. And last but not least, ease. Not only ease in the tooling, the ease of use of the platform, the ease of use of the consoles, but the ease of how easy it is for us to adopt the cloud. So we were able to, again, ramp up really easily, very fast. In a very short period of time, we were able to instantiate very complex things, but at the same time, without sacrificing security and quality. But it was very easy for us to migrate into the cloud and immediately contribute to the project, and and do really cool things in it. Other things, why serverless? You guys heard me say serverless earlier. So serverless, why? Because serverless is fully managed. We are family, we have families, we have responsibilities, we have full-time jobs. So we don't want to spend like too much time managing something else. Like, we don't want to have like spend hours behind a computer just trying to manage servers, services, checking that things are up and down or whatever, checking for errors. We wanted something that was fully managed and that worked to our advantage. So when things, let's say, break, we could get a notification, but at least some of these things are running efficiently without us having to manage it all the time. Minimum maintenance. Again, those things, for example, in the case of Google Cloud Functions, for example, things, again, for example, let's say in the minimum maintenance aspect, like, you don't have to be installing patches, you don't have to be installing upgrades and all of that. All of that is taken care of for you by the Google Cloud, the whole Google Cloud Console, all of those services that are there. Most of them, the ones that are fully managed, all the patches and installs and upgrades and updates and all of that are taken care of for you. So minimum maintenance is what we're looking for. Minimum management, that's kind of fully tied to what I mentioned in the fully managed aspect. Minimum management, we want the minimum involvement as possible. We want things to kind of run on their own, and only we go there whenever we need to provide, whenever we want to focus on the experience of the user and provide more features and whatnot. But the least management, the best. Security by default, like you do get security by default. Let's say I was showing earlier, remember when we were doing Firebase Cloud hosting, let's say if you're building a Flutter web app and you see how I was able to deploy it to the Firebase hosting, you get security by default. You get HTTPS already, you get SSL certificate by default. In the case of Cloud Functions, the same thing. Only when you're authenticated, you can actually access some of those resources. And you get, and even, for example, whenever you're storing information in the Google Cloud, it gets stored, for example, is it already encrypted? So you see that security is ingrained in the Google Cloud, and it permeates all the services around it. Performance, we talked a little bit about performance. You want things that run pretty fast, that run well, that are all the time, up and without compromising the quality. Scalability. Let's say our application grows overnight. We don't want to provision new servers. We don't want to install more memory or more hard disks. We want the scalability to happen automatically. For example, a spike in traffic, instead of us having to scramble to install new servers and provision new things, actually scales automatically and supports the new wave of let's say, of traffic. But what if the traffic goes down? Then we have all these, let's say, extra servers already set up there. No, it scales down to zero sometimes, or it just scales down to the bare minimum to support normal traffic. So that's what we want, scalability. And of course, last but not least, availability. Again, like I said, I don't want to receive a call at 3 a.m. in the morning just so that something breaks or anything like that. We want things to be efficient and available all the time so that it doesn't disrupt the user's experience and all of that. Great. And in a nutshell, we could just say that the Google Cloud is amazing. We love the Google Cloud. So in a nutshell, GDG Lawrence loves the Google Cloud because it has brought a lot of benefits, and it also has even solved things that may be intangible, but it provides a great value for our users, and we're definitely thankful for that. So let's start now diving into each one of the individual components and how we architected this. So what did we start from the front? So what did we use as a front end? Front end, we used Flutter. Flutter is, again, an open source UI toolkit supported by Google that allows you to build beautiful, natively compiled experiences in a multi-platform experience. So you can target 6 distinct platforms with one single code base using Dart, and you can use it. And it's very not a steep learning curve. Is very supported in the community. There's a great momentum around that. There's no better time to join and become a Flutter developer than now. So this is the time, if you guys are thinking about it or you're evaluating it, is an amazing experience and you won't regret it. So that's exactly what we use as our front end application. So we build it in Flutter for the 3 major for Android. Right now it's only available for Android, soon available for iOS and the web, but right now we have it deployed for Android only, and the other ones because of some approval issues. But other than that, Flutter, it's amazing for this. What things did we use in the backend? So now we're moving right away into the backend. So we use a lot of the features that are all on the free tier and some on the pay as you go tier, meaning kind of like the next level, where you pay as you go and you don't get incurred into multiple charges and you can still have some decent quotas. For example, we use the Firebase Cloud Firestore, which is the next generation of NoSQL document and collection based database from Firebase. And you can have like real-time communication. And we use that, for example, for the chat messages. We want real-time communication between our users and us, and we use that for the chat. Also, we use Firebase Cloud Firestore just as any regular database, as a regular NoSQL document collection-based database with a very nice structure, multi-regional support, strong consistency, ACID transactions, and we use that for all the resources and the contact information, for example, to store information kind of as if it was like a database, but using a very JSON-like type of structure. Also, Firebase provides something called Firebase Authentication, and we use that to provide our users with a seamless experience for them to connect to our application using just a Gmail account. Firebase Authentication is free, and you can, but for example, you have to pay if it's for like phone authentication and like some aspects of that. But you can use it. You can use like all the third-party integrations for free. Like you can connect. You can do Firebase Authentication using Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, GitHub, Microsoft, and all of those for free. Cloud Functions, again, the crown jewels of like serverless and the Google Cloud. It allows you to create like event-driven small functions, single-purpose functions that execute based on events and triggers. We use it for a RESTful API for the mobile application to access external APIs and to trigger events and whatnot. We use cloud storage. Again, cloud storage is like object storage for the Google Cloud. You have like, a limited amount of storage. You have multiple types of classes. We use that to store like data, like store like physical data, kind of like podcasts, like the MP3 files for the podcasts and recordings, some images. And also, let's say, whenever we implement the features of like people recording their own messages, we're going to be storing that in the Google Cloud using cloud storage. Firebase Cloud Messaging, a free service, which actually powers the notification system that allows people to send notifications from their phones, like all those notifications that you get on your phone. If you use, for example, Firebase Cloud Messaging, that is what actually powers it. And we use that for asynchronous notifications and to trigger cloud functions, because Firebase Cloud Messaging kind of is based on like Cloud PubSub. So it's type of like an event messaging queue that you can use topics and you can send messages to a topic and things trigger based on that topic, or things being put into that topic. So you can listen on a topic, things can trigger, for example, like a cloud function. You can trigger a pipeline or anything like that. So you can use that using cloud messaging, but cloud messaging is more for like those type of notifications. Last but not least, we use Cloud Scheduler, also for free, but with certain limitations. For example, you can only have, like, I believe, like 2 cron jobs. This is kind of like a way for you to execute things in a cron fashion, like at intervals of time in a programmatic fashion. So you can execute, the way that we're using it is by executing jobs on a schedule. For example, data backup, cleaning data from the database and whatnot. We use it using a Cloud Scheduler. Cloud Scheduler, you can hook it up to like Cloud Functions and whatnot, so that it can call a function at a specific, specified period of time, in a cron fashion, and you can trigger things. So it's pretty good. Awesome. So how did we architect this application? So if you can see right there in the screen, you see how we architected this application. So you have on the left-hand side, you have the mobile application that actually first authenticates using Firebase authentication, but you can be anonymous as well, and you can use the application in a limited fashion. For example, you don't have access to notifications, you don't have access to certain functions, you don't have access to chat, because those are only for authenticated users. Because some of those resources you want to protect it via an authenticated user, some authenticated credentials, and you want to protect those assets. So in our case, we require Firebase authentication. Once you get those credentials, then we can perform operations such as doing the chat messages, setting some preferences and whatnot, receive notifications, and all of that. But if you're an anonymous user, you can view, for example, the events. You can check out the team. You see, for example, like right here, how we're using Cloud Functions directly from the from the Flutter application, as if we were just calling a RESTful API, but we're also calling Firebase Cloud Firestore also directly from Flutter to take advantage of the real-time capabilities. Yeah, and if you can see, this is how it was architected. We kept it very simple, and we kept those modules very decoupled. That way they can grow independently, they can be deployed independently, and all of that. So let's start, for example, by diving in on one of the aspects of the application. How do we process the podcast, for example? The way that we process the podcast is like this. I do a recording, let's say on my phone. This is, for example, like a tidbit of information that I want to supply to our users. So we record that as a mini podcast, like an MP3. We upload it to the cloud using cloud storage. So we upload it to a cloud bucket, a Google Cloud bucket and cloud storage. There is a notification, a cloud pops up that is listening on that bucket. So cloud pops up is very good at that. You can listen to events being triggered. In this case, a file being uploaded, a file being written into the bucket, and then cloud pops up can trigger a notification to somebody else that action occurred. For example, cloud pops up listens that a file got stored in the Google Cloud storage, and it triggers a cloud function so that it can go and retrieve that file, in this particular case a podcast, like an MP3 file, grabs that files from the cloud storage using a cloud function, because you can run multiple languages in the cloud function. You can process that MP3 file. You can extract metadata from it. You can even get like duration, the name, even rename it or anything like that. And then after that, you can store that information after it gets processed into Firebase Cloud Firestore for further consumption down the line. For example, now the application can read the duration of the file, the author, some other metadata, how long it takes, and all of that. And then you can store that in Firestore so that then the application can consume it. So you see, we made this very automated. That way, I don't have to manually upload the file, rename the file, check what is the duration of the file, then save an entry in the Firebase Cloud Firestore so that I know the name of the file, the title of the recording, and all of that. So it's pretty good because it helps you automate things. For example, for those of you using Bevy, this is Bevy right here. So how do we pull events and team info? So the way that we did it, Bevy is, again, this platform that we use for broadcasting events in our community, and that's how we can reach out to all of you. The way that we did this is we created a simple cloud function that is looking at the Bevy. Bevy has some open APIs that allows you to retrieve information about the events, about, for example, again, events, content, all of that. It gives you that information in a very comprehensive way. And then we just make an API request on behalf of the application using an intermediate cloud function. So the mobile application makes a call to the cloud function. The cloud function can make a call to the Bevy API. It fetches the information about the events, upcoming events, past events, assembles it and maps it to a model that is like agnostic from Bevy, like is more like device agnostic, and then we send it over to the Flutter application. In the event that we are replacing Bevy or something like that, we can just strip out the Bevy implementation and just map it to some other provider, but the application doesn't have to be redeployed. All we have to do is just map the same responses and the values to that agnostic type of way that the application knows how to consume. That way we don't disrupt operations and all of that, and make it more seamless and less dependent directly on Bevy. I could have called Bevy directly, but we made it an intermediate function. That way we can have a mapper in there, and that way you can grab all the values coming from their API, map it to like a generic only under that is kind of like, again, agnostic, from Bevy, but we can make it more map to what the application is requiring in this case, and we made it very seamless. Also, how do we pull resources, contact, and podcasts? Remember, you can talk directly to Firebase Cloud Firestore, but we wanted to also add, for example, if you want to pull resources, contact, and podcasts, we wanted to use Firebase like as a regular database. We wanted to treat it as a regular database, and that way you can just put like a service right in front of it. In this case, we put a cloud function. Why? Because you can also do some aggregation of data. As opposed to making multiple calls and doing those operations on the client side, the cloud functions can actually alleviate, for example, like how much data you can pull from Firebase Cloud Firestore, because you could get dinged in how many reads and writes you can have. And you can do even some caching. You can do some aggregation of data on the server side using a cloud function. And then we just treat that data, the Cloud Firestore data is just a regular database data, and we just pull it and serve it to the user as a single package. That way they don't have to make multiple calls into multiple things and whatnot. But that's how we pull all the resources, the contacts, and the podcasts. How do we process the chat messages? Remember, the chat is that feature where we provide like the chat like experience to our users. And then we always require them to be authenticated with Firebase. So what we do is we collect the device token. We first authenticate this user, and then after the user gets authenticated, we have a user authentication ID, like a UID. Then we pair this UID with the device token, and then we store it in Firebase. We use that information to send messages directly to them and only to them. And that is how we can differentiate one user from another, by using the device token stored on the device. And then that information can easily be retrieved by using the Firebase the Flutter Fire packages, the Firebase packages available in Flutter, that you can extract that information. You can do the authentication, pair it up with this device token, and then you have something unique that you can talk to a user directly. Also, we talk to Firebase directly to leverage, again, the real-time capabilities of Firebase, which are pretty awesome. They give you this like, very fast response and that fluid experience that users are used to experience in other applications. So that's exactly how we process like chat messages and those type of content. Sorry about that. And how do we process like notification messages? Very similar to kind of like we do the chat. We also require our users to be authenticated. And then you see that we pass the device token. This is for sending the messages directly to them. So we collect the device token. We pass it along with the UID, just like we do with the chat as well. And then we store that. Now, whenever, let's say there's something in the backend that needs to send a message to a given user, we retrieve that the user ID and their device token, and then we can send a notification straight to that user. Or if we want to do it in mass, like in bulk, we can just say for all of these device tokens, let's just send a notification, and you can just say a cloud. You can use Firebase Cloud Messaging, and using that device token that you've already captured from all the users, you can do like mass email, like mass notifications, and everybody stays up to date. So that's a way for you to collect the data from the user using the device token. That's something unique. And then you can even send either individual messages to one user, or you can do it in mass, or you can do it like to a group of users. You can create like topics in Cloud PubSub or something like that. I believe you could do that in Cloud Messaging. I can't remember right now, but you can do those type of things in the Google Cloud, which does allow you to do so. And you see, this little bit of code is what allows you to just send, for example, like one message to, for example, how you can capture the device token, how you can grab the user's credential. For example, in the first line, you can capture the user's credentials after they've logged in with their Gmail account. And then you get the token out of the device, and then you can actually store the device token associated with that user ID. So you can just store it in that user's document. So there's got to be like a user's collection, which has a document associated with their UID. And then you can set the device token, and this is the way how you can capture the device token associated with a particular user ID, with a particular user, and then later on you can use it to their advantage, that you can use individual messages or mass notifications to all of the users. But just this little bit of code allows you to get information from your users, and also how to capture the token and associate it with the user ID in a very secure way. Also, this is how we execute the cron. So the cron capabilities of this application occur in a time fashion. For example, a timely fashion in a periodic way, like either 1 hour. For example, we can execute one cron job like every 15 days for cleaning the data out of the database, for cleaning the chat messages. Also, even for the one that performs like the typing of the, like who's typing right now, we use a cron job to clean up that value. So you can do cron jobs for those things, like the cloud scheduler. You can use, it's fully managed, first of all, and it's an enterprise grade scheduler, and it allows you to create very complex like workflows that perform at in a timely fashion. So it's really great. We were able to use that under the free tier without paying, but of course under a certain quota, like 2 or 3 I believe cron jobs that you can have for free. The great thing is that you could also use, like I mentioned, from Firebase, you can use cloud messaging, but they have a special feature called compose notification. Compose notification allows you to do sending messages to multiple users, let's say users of your Android application or users of your iOS application. You can send emails for like notifying them about a special, notifying them about a special deal that you have, updates that you have for your application. Any notifications that you want to send to your user for free in this way, in a very automated way, without you having to do it programmatically, you could do it like here. You could do custom notification. You can compose it just like you were creating an email. You just hit send, and then everybody gets it automatically. So it's pretty good. This is something that I encourage people to use for sending mass notifications to your users. You can do it on a periodic basis. You can schedule it. You can do stuff like that. It's awesome. So it's free. You should take advantage of this amazing capability. And just this little piece of code is what allows you to set up like the Firebase messaging in your Flutter code. See, you have to create like make sure that, of course, the widgets Flutter binding is initialized. Then you initialize Firebase. You can set up a couple of hooks, and you can handle, for example, like background messages, how to handle those messages, and you can do anything you want in your application. But just this little bit of code allows you to set up Firebase messaging so that your applications can get notifications in a very non-intrusive way, very seamless, and you can do that to your advantage, to your users' advantage as well. So it's pretty awesome. The great thing again is that this is a fully managed solution. You have one console that keeps track of all your things, all your databases, all your authentication, all your third-party providers. Everything in here is within a single console. If, let's say, you don't want to keep things like all over the place, you could also use just the Google Cloud. Through the Google Cloud console, and let me just show you real quick. I'm going to pop over my Google Cloud console. Even right here, I'm going to show you, for example, how I can manage my cloud functions. Here you can see all the cloud functions that are powering, these are all the cloud functions that are powering the GDG Lawrence application. You can take a look at Firestore. You can take a look at the database right from here from the Google Cloud. You see how I have access to the information about document and collections about the contacts, notifications, podcasts, resources, and all of that. So you can manage all from one single place. And that is the beauty of it, because you can control everything from here. You can look at Cloud Scheduler. Like I see I have like two cron jobs executing. You have a bunch of things. I have other APIs. I have login enabled, cloud storage. I think we do have cloud storage. There are some buckets that are used to store some information, again, like the podcasts and whatnot. So those are the things that you use for, again, to control, to manage all your application. But you see, it's very little management, all fully managed. This is just a very nice console so that you can view things. So that's what I love about the Google Cloud, and how you can manage the aspects of your application in a very secure way. So I love these fully managed solutions because it allows us to focus in the app experience rather than the nitty-gritty of the daily the setting of servers, installing software, managing when things are up and down, scaling up or down, horizontally or vertically, whatever. I want to make sure that I do provide a great experience and gives me just a minimum amount of management and dealings with this. All your resources in a single place, just like I mentioned. I love it. Very convenient, and you can see how things went, how things are up, how things are doing. You can see where things are up or down. You can take a look, for example, like here, multiple versions of our code, multiple languages and whatnot. That's awesome. And so what's next for GDG Lawrence and the Google Cloud? So we're able to build this amazing infrastructure in the Google Cloud. So now we should, might as well use it for something else. So what is next for us after we've built this amazing infrastructure? So we're actually thinking about deploying it to the Google Assistant. So you can actually create like your own Dialogflow agents, and you can create like applications built on top of the Google Cloud that leverage even the same infrastructure that the Flutter application is leveraging. So that's pretty good. We save a lot of a lot of work on the building of the infrastructure and the architecture. And we can leverage, for example, by tapping into the Dialogflow, smart assistants, smart home assistants, and build something like that for the home, so that people can even consume like content from GDG Lawrence in a very convenient way. You can even do like a Slack bot. Using just the same stuff, you can just use like a Slack bot and connect it to the same infrastructure. Very seamless. So you see, for example, like how the current architecture is, how the Flutter application sits on the side, and then it taps into all these great, amazing modules that we've built in the Google Cloud. Well, if we want to now bring, for example, the Google Assistant, it's all a matter of just putting Dialogflow right in front of it. Dialogflow, what it will do is will translate all those commands, the voice commands, into text commands that then can be passed along and can be converted to executions of functions and whatnot in the whole architecture and the data. And actually the information just flows naturally, the same way as if you were tapping buttons and clicking on your application, on your Flutter application. The same way will happen when you do it via voice, by putting a Dialogflow agent right in front of it, interpreting the commands, translating them into functions and function calls, and then you can make that migration very, very seamless. So we're very proud of that. We're definitely exploring this option, but yes, the sky's the limit. That's the bottom line. Great. So I invite you all to download the GDG Lawrence Flutter application, which is available in the Google Play. Very soon, once we get the approvals, we're going to have it available in the App Store, but we would love to also have it available in other platforms as well. But at least for now, you can take a look at the Flutter application, developed for GDG Lawrence, living on top of the Google Cloud, leveraging the Google Cloud, and just being an amazing tool that serves our community well and keeps them abreast and keeps them updated on the latest and greatest in the technology, and especially coming from Google and all the resources that we have to offer them. So with that, I just wanted to put my contacts in there just in case you wanted to reach out to me via my Twitter account at Dear Coders. You can actually visit also my YouTube channel, Roman Just Codes at YouTube. I put a lot of content on Flutter in there, so you can take a look at that. I've also put some posts in Medium, so you can follow me on Medium as well. Or again, we welcome everybody to our community. If you want to be part of the GDG Lawrence community, you're more than welcome. So thank you so much. These are some resources. I think I can put this information in there for some of you guys to have it available. But I just wanted to say, again, thank you so much for being in this session. We hope that you've picked up a thing or two, that you've learned how to build very robust applications backed by the Google Cloud in a very serverless, using a serverless approach, very robust, but also to have a very amazing, useful experience, delightful experience for our users. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you, Kevin, and the whole team from the North Carolina DevFest 2022 for inviting me. I just want to say, please don't be a stranger. Please reach out. Thank you so much. This was amazing. I'm going to hand it back to Kevin now. And I just want to say thank you one more time. Have a great rest of the DevFest. And tomorrow I believe there's going to be a couple more sessions. And I think now he's going to be doing some raffles. So stay tuned. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of the day. I'm going to stop sharing and handing it over to Kevin. Thank you so much.
Hi, Roman.